Hi, my name's Josie. I'm here today at the City of West Torrens Library Service in the Hammer Centre Library. I'm coming to you today live from the library to give you a teen book taster. Now, what on earth is a teen book taster? Well, it's basically a place where you can come and learn about books for youth, or in our YA fiction category. So these are based around teen reads or young adults. Today I've got a selection of strong male protagonists. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to have a look at some guys in books, and I hope you'll enjoy the ones I've chosen today. All right, let's get started. So first of all, I have the Bogan Mandra by Steve Herrick. This one here. This is brought to us by the University of Queensland Press. And as you can see, it's got a CBCA notable sticker. It was in the older reader category last year. So this one, the main character is Luke. Luke is a bit of a floater, underachiever. And he's not really doing much. He's got a mum. His dad is deceased, so he's living in a single-parent family, and he's looking, not very reflectively at his own life. He's sort of cruising along until he meets Charlotte. Now, Charlotte has been expelled from another school, so she comes with an air of mystery, and she is she's interesting. Yeah, she's kind of cool and mysterious. But things unfold and we find out about some family secrets that are going on. So this book actually touches on domestic violence and is a story of what's going on in both the teenagers' lives, but Charlotte's life is heavily featured through Luke's eyes. So this book has major themes of grief, domestic violence, family, relationships and friendships. They're the big ones. And they're in high school, so it's suitable for a, middle teenager, I'd say. There's nothing very confronting in this one. Let's have a look. So he's just gone over to Charlotte's house for the first time. "Does beer make you deaf?" Charlotte says. "I'm standing in a shiny kitchen with a girl who scares me, and all I can think of is my dad." Charlotte hops down from the counter and leads me through the house. In the lounge is a giant flat-screen television attached to the wall. The coffee table is a scatter of glossy magazines around a vase of yellow roses, one petal fallen onto the cream carpet. A grand piano is in the corner, a stack of sheet music on top. I walk across to the instrument and run my fingers along the surface. "I'm not deaf enough to listen," I say. I expect it's her mum's piano, but Charlotte smiles and sits down behind it. "Close your eyes, Luke." I figure it's because she's embarrassed and just learning how to play. The first note seems to vibrate across the space between us. It's clear and crisp, like the tolling of a church bell. Charlotte plays. I keep my eyes closed. It's like being massaged by sound. I sit on the lounge and all I think of is Charlotte leaning over the piano, intent on the keys. A wisp of her hair falling across her face, and yet she can't brush it away or the music will stop. I listen for minutes, hours. I have no idea how long, and not once do I open my eyes to break the spell. So that's one of the really interesting little takes on Charlotte. She is, a really fascinating character. Stephen has been known for his fantastic writing, and in this case, it's very authentic. The strong male character Luke is really interesting to read about. And there's been a bit of a mixed bag reviews because it's not quite like his other work. But if you do enjoy this one, it would be worth having a look at his other writing. He's got some great books. So that's my little entree for you today. I hope you enjoy that one. Now, for my main, it was really tough to pick which was entree, main and dessert this week because they're all really interesting books. Yeah, they all have a bit of a different edge to them. This one here, The Things That Will Not Stand, by Gerard Bauer and brought to us by Scholastic. I don't know why, but I just really like this book. It was very likeable. It's set across one day, which I like, and the male character in this one is Sebastian. He's our lead, and he meets up with another fascinating girl called Frida. Now, Sebastian is at the uni, going to a uni open day, so he's in later high school where he meets, he actually meets Frida outside of this day, but the course of the day is all through this uni open day, and it's all the things that happen to them while they're getting to know each other. And there's another character, his best friend Tolly, who's very much a sideline. But it's really about these two and getting to know each other and their secrets, again, unravelling and getting to know, the other side. So the facade is one thing, but it's what's really going on in the background. And Frida is an amazing storyteller. So they have all this banter all through the day, and it's not till right to the end the real story gets revealed. And it could be a bit of a tearjerker, I guess, if you wear your heart on your sleeve. So a really interesting one, and I like that it was run across the course of one day, and you might like that too. So this is the scene where Sebastian meets Frida. So he's in the foyer at a cinema and he's waiting to meet this girl that he really wants to see. But the doors open and then this happens. Just not the girl. Not the one I've been waiting for, hoping for. Not the PFH. That'd be right. Of all the cinemas, in all the universities in the world, she doesn't walk into mine. A lot of white. That's the first impression I get of the new girl, the wrong girl. She reminds me a bit of a main character from Frozen because her hair is bleached and falls in a jagged cut, almost to her shoulders. Plus, she's wearing white sandals that tie up above her ankles and a strappy white top that hangs loosely to a long white skirt. From my side view, I can just make out a pale profile and an equally pale and slender arm. What's her name again? The Frozen character? Something beginning with E. Eva, Ellie, Evelyn, something like that. It doesn't matter. The Frozen girl has stopped by a life-size black and white cutout of Humphrey Bogart. He's in a white tuxedo, smoking a cigarette and standing beside a piano. The Frozen girl fits in with the colour scheme pretty well. I watch as she gives Bogey the once over and then pulls out of a purse from the calico bag she's carrying. The bag has those happy and sad theatre masks printed on it. I take one last pointless look at the clock on the wall and then the ticket in my hand. And I remind myself once more of my sad, pathetic, prick-like nature. When the Frozen girl sets off for the box office, I move to intercept her. Are you getting a ticket for Casablanca? She stops and turns my way. She's half a head shorter than me, and I realise now she's also only half frozen, at least from the neck up. That's because the hair on the right side of her head is dark and closed high above her temple. The ear on that side is almost hidden under a load of metal piercings. She pushes her long hair behind her other ear and holds it there. Grey hazel eyes squint up at me from below dark, full eyebrows. Sorry, she says, shaking her head slightly. What? Are you going to see Casablanca? Because if you are, you can have my ticket. I hold it up and she studies it for a second, and then me. Your ticket. Why aren't you using it? Because I'm a sad, pathetic prick who actually thought for a moment that he might be like one of those leads in some heartwarming, good, feel-good rom-com. But then quickly discovered that no, he's just stuck in his regular pissy-feel crap non-rom-com life, after all. I decide that this might be oversharing, so I keep it to myself. I decided to, see something else. Really? What? Sorry? You said you decided to do something else. Well, what did you decide to do, rather than see Casablanca, even though you've already gone and bought a ticket for it? And so it begins, the banter between these two, and it's quite fun. I hope you will enjoy reading The Things That Will Not Stand. CBCA notable book, and brought to us by Scholastic. So thank you, Scholastic, for allowing me to read and review online. There's an interesting theme around grief and overcoming some pretty adverse and horrific things in your life that gets unfolded in this story. But overall, it's just a really lovely banter between these two, and it's about being open, I guess. So my last book for today is by a local author, actually. This is by Sean Williams, and it's called Impossible Music. There you go. It's got a cool cover. I really liked it. So this one has been around since last year. Now, Sean has taken on a really interesting topic here. His character, Simon, has lost his hearing and is a musician. So that's obviously incredibly tricky for him. His whole identity is based around music. He doesn't even know who he is without music. So can you imagine if you were in that situation, if you had become deaf and you could no longer hear the one thing that you define yourself by? He's got tattoos all over him that represent music, and it's really what he's dreaming to do. He wants to go on to university and study music. So what's he going to do now? And that's the story that we have here. In his deaf group, he is supposed to be learning Auslan, so he's really against this, and he doesn't take on his opportunity to be able to communicate. He's still really struggling to accept his new life order, and he just wants to resist everything to do with the deaf community and being deaf. So Auslan is totally out. Having been learning Auslan myself, I found that quite an interesting little story about people who are newly deaf and how they come to communicate. I think if you're interested in music, you would really like this book, because you'd be able to identify with how meaningful music is in your life. It's also just a great tale for somebody who's having a tough time or has been through something that has been deeply uprooting. So if you have to reinvent yourself, if you are looking to define yourself, if you really don't know who you are, I think you'll identify with this one. It's very compelling and quite easy to read. It's told through Simon's voice. He also meets a amazing, interesting, mysterious girl. What is it with these guys and their mysterious girls? So let's read about that. Her name isn't really G, it's George, not Georgie or Georgina. She made that very clear in our first class together, 3 weeks after I lost my hearing. But no one deaf cares about those extra syllables, or the name her parents gave her for that matter. They're just mouth shapes. She, like the rest of us, needed a new name, one given to someone from the community they told us now we belong to. Her deaf name comes from the sign of the letter G, the right fist on top of the left fist, with an added circular twist, evoking her love of caffeine. It looks a bit like someone strangling a chicken. For a while, she signed off her messages as George, who loves coffee. Well, she got used to the idea. Deaf names are given, but it's not always wanted. That was how we first got to know each other, via Messenger. It was too hard to talk in deaf class, concentrating as we were on reluctantly learning the bare minimum to get by. Hello. How much? Help. If we were paired together to practice what we learned that day, she made it clear she was as unwilling a participant as me. Her hands hung at her sides until she was forced to speak. And when she did, her signs would be cursory and hard to read, so exaggerated when I failed to understand her that they became almost aggressive, chopping and retching at the air. I thought her issue was with me, something I had unknowingly done. After all, it couldn't be anything I said. Only later, when a message from George, who loves coffee, arrived out of the blue, did I realise that she wasn't angry at me, just at being unable to hear. So there you go, that's a little bit from Impossible Music. So we've had Impossible Music today, and The Things That Will Not Stand, and the Bogan Mandra. And I hope you liked the Teen Book Taster for today. Maybe you got a taste for something new. Don't forget you can place them on hold on the Public Library catalogue, or you can check out Libby to see if you can grab an ebook. And see you next time. Don't forget, if you'd like to review a book or let me know a book you'd like me to review, please just let me know in the comments below. Thanks for joining me today. See you next time. Happy reading.